Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your terms. Their design intelligence empowers anyone to build a beautiful, more personalized website tailored to their unique needs, while Squarespace Payments is the easiest way to manage your payments in one place with Squarespace. Onboarding is fast and simple. All of the tools you need to engage your subscribers, drive sales, and simplify your audience management. Set up automated emails to build connections while saving time, and easily integrate your products into email templates to drive sales and increase site traffic. Check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to www.squarespace.com/oliviareadsalatte to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. It is time. I have got Jake. I've got coffee. I've got the prompts. No, the books, and a hope and a dream. And we're going to pick one out. So, welcome to episode 4 of Read It or Unhaul It, where I have to read these books and then I choose if I'm going to unhaul them or not. To be honest, sometimes I do decide between reading and unhauling because I believe in DNFing. I think it's self-care. Along with sunscreen and drinking your water. It's just what it is. So, I asked my partner how I should pick out the prompt this time. And I should have known it would be a chaotic way. And I was told to just pick out a prompt. Don't even look at the genres. Just pick one out and go with it. So we're about to see how either that goes really well for me, or that is why I'm a mood reader. It's going to be one of the two. So let us do that. Just got to go over here. Okay, orange. Can I remember what this is? No. I don't even know what book this is. Can y'all see that? No. Shades of Rust and Ruin. Okay. Now we're gonna have to go find that in the library. Oh, I just found it. Well, I'm a BRB. So, this is a YA fantasy? Is it a fantasy? Is it like a science fiction-y? Steampunky? Oh my gosh. Nix Loring knows her family is under a Halloween curse. Okay, that's a vibe. When she was 3, her parents tragically died on October 31st. 11 years later, her twin sister Lark suffering a similar fate. Not the door blowing open for no reason. That's creepy. This is actually a book that my partner bought me on one of our anniversary things, where we get each other 2 books that we know the person wants, and then one that we think that they would like. This was the one. So we're going to see about this. I don't know. But to be honest, it's very timely, because I did want this episode to be a little Halloween-y. It's a Halloween curse. So here we go. So I guess we will be starting this today. It is under 400 pages, which is good. This print is huge. Also good. And I mainly wanted something that's not going to blur with... I'm currently reading through the Cosmere. Okay, we're in Oathbringer, and we're deep in. So I needed something that's going to stand out. This will do that, I fear. So, yeah, let's get into our first book. Are you sniffing that hard enough? Jacob. You know. Look at little suspicious boy. Little suspicious boy. Okay, so I have read a little bit of this, and the problem is the writing. I was just telling my partner, it feels like so much is being said, or so little is being said, with so many words. Too many words, I would even argue. And I'm just like, I cannot. I don't know if it's because of I'm having issues focusing. I don't know if it's the book's writing. I think it's the book's writing. But I believe we're going to have an unhaul. I believe so. It does seem like a really fun idea. I'm going to bring it to my friend to put into her classroom because I think it would be like a really fun Halloween-y kind of book to have. That's not necessarily Halloween-y, but it's just the fact that the goblin market is involved in this. I usually go for that stuff so much, but the writing is just not working. And if that's the issue, it's just not going to be a good time, you know? So, I have now conferred with the cryptid once more. Conferred? Whatever. I talked to him. And I am picking a light yellow, almost said lello, for a cozy mystery. That's a good little sound. Imagine if every time I opened it, it just... Very light. There's one. Let's see what it is. Hopefully it's a series, because I have a lot. Is that Homicide in Hollow Hollow? Yes, it is a series. This is one of the series that I'm reading. Oops, so let's go grab it right now. Actually, it is right over there on my cozy mystery shelf. So, what do you say we go grab it? Okay, hello. Oh my gosh, you don't need to see my super pale legs. Thank y'all so much. We are in the dark bedroom because I am getting sleepy and ready to go to bed. But today, while I was out and about, oh god, there's a ginger. She's gonna come get me. While I was out and about doing things, I read almost 100 pages of this. Oh, 103. Let's put it into my Bookly app because honestly, I didn't think I was gonna get to read that much of it when I was like doing stuff today, but I did. So, oh my god, I can import my Goodreads. No, I don't need to do that. That'd be absolutely crazy. Let's just do it one at a time. Yeah. It says it's only 256 pages. Is that true? No, it's 253, even shorter. I love a cozy mystery that knows when to call it. I need to add in a reading sesh. So I ended at, 103? And I think I probably in totality read for like an hour and a half. I'm going to round up to an hour and 45, so that's about, a page per minute. And it was today. So if I read for 2.5 more hours, we'll finish it. This app that I use is Bookly. Not sponsored. Wish I was. Wish they knew who I was. Just been using it for like, I want to say, I keep guessing. It's been over 3 years minimum. But this is the second book in this series. Here it is right here. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know why I cannot really read that in this low lighting. I am entering, is middle age the age I'm at? Hopefully not. Hopefully middle age is further down the road. I'd like to not be in the middle of my life so far. But the first book is Arsenic and Adobo, and it was so cute, so good, so fun. If you like cozy mysteries that really focus on friendship and family, heavy emphasis on family, like friends that are like family kind of thing, and then also food, because a big thing for me is food in my cozy mysteries. This one. And there's also humor as well, so it's just a great time. I'm really enjoying it. This second one, we are following our character as a beauty pageant is coming to town. It's happening once more. And it's actually a beauty pageant that her mom really wanted her to do, and she did eventually do. And if I'm not mistaken, she did win, and her mom did beauty pageants as well. Or I think she did, maybe it was one, I'm not sure. But she did. It was a big deal, and this main character's parents have both passed, and so it does deal with grief, which I'm always down for in a book. I'm getting into I feel like when you first start experiencing grief, maybe you're not always like gung-ho to talk about it, but now I'm like in it. I'm like, let's talk about it all the time because I'm sick of people acting like it doesn't exist, because that makes it worse. So she's talking about it, and I love it. And just like the random memories that you get of people and how it makes you sad when you don't expect it, Ginger is making sure you're paying attention in class today. But there is another character we're meeting. I believe it's her cousin, who is like her like rival from childhood, because they were both like in the beauty pageants and rivals with each other. And she gets accused because one of the judges for the pageant winds up. So, of course, what is our main character gonna do? She's gonna investigate. She's gonna super sleuth with her friends. And she is opening up a coffee shop called Baruha, and it is BREW-HA, and it's a play on the word bruja from both Spanish and why did my brain, I was really going on that sentence. It's just a play on the words that her and her friends from their languages, because they're all hosting this coffee shop together. Wow. Everything just like zapped out of me. But what I really like is we're talking about in this book, our main character loves to bake. It's like her favorite thing, and it's a really creative thing, and it's a really kind of way that she calms down and chills out, but also it is becoming a job for her as well. And I just find that interesting because I can relate to that in the sense of like reading and, you know, book journaling, making videos, editing videos, all started out as hobbies, and they are still hobbies, but have also transitioned into jobs for me. And it talks about how like in grief, in times where like that's not going great, or just times that are hard, really, you can kind of lose sight of like why you were doing it and how much you truly loved it at its core. Like, yes, it is now a thing that you do need to do, but you can still be creative and have fun with it. And she's exploring what that now looks like for her to be creative and come up with these recipes for her cafe. And I just really like it. I also love that they're bringing all of their different cultures like into the cafe and mixing it all up together, and they have like separate sections on the menu that they each contribute to bring in that. And it's just fun, and it's cozy, and it's nice, and I just love it. I just love, and look at the little puppy, because we always gotta have a dog, don't we? We do. Or a sassy cat. I thought there was a cat in the first one. Maybe that's another book I'm thinking about. I think I'm thinking of A Deadly Inside Scoop, actually, which is another one that I would highly recommend. That one is about a woman who owns a ice cream parlor that her family has owned. And there's lots of recipes. There's lots of, like, good food involved in that. And I believe that this... Now, why does this say Chapter 2? Y'all don't play a game with me, please. There is some recipes in the back of here. Tita Rosie's grilled adobo chicken wings. That won't be for me. Lola Flor's Turon. Brown sugar. Spring roll wrappers. Bananas and jack. Oh, hold on. We might make that. That sounds good. Halo ice candy. Maybe not that one. Adina's Bruja. What is that? Oh, yeah. It's an iced coffee diluted with coconut water instead of plain water. But I thought that it was a cold brew. Oh, with pandan. Oh. Yeah, anyways, I just love it because the back of these books always have a few recipes. And the recipes that are mentioned throughout the book, I literally just read about that coffee that she made specifically for our main character. So, anyways, I am really enjoying this book so far. I do enjoy a good cozy mystery every once in a while. There's also a love triangle going on. Just saying, if you're someone who needs a little bit more oomph, perhaps. This is my thing, though. My cozy mystery has to involve, like, friendship and evolving and growing as friends, and family and evolving and growing as, like, close-knit family members. Maybe a love story here or there, and then food. Like, I need my cozy mysteries to have a formula. Oh my gosh. The Misfortune series also does that. It's just, man, I got good taste. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, having a good time with this one. So that's where we're at. What do you say we finish it? Hello, you guys. So I'm back with a little bit of an update with this one. We are 39% in, and I just got recommended the audiobook while I am doing sprints right now. So I grabbed that from my library, and the reason is I really want to do some work on my reading journal while we're doing this. And I figured since my library had it, why not? So we're going to be working on this. I need to go find my freaking colored pencils. I think they're in a drawer in my room. But I'm going to start working on filling out these little mini reviews, and then some of these like pages, just adding a little something to them so that I can finally put together like a flip through for the vlog. Perhaps the Patreon. Actually, I might do an in-depth chatty one about it over on Patreon. I don't know. But anyways, we are going to do this. Okay? Yes. So, actually, let me get off of here. Alright. Let's get started. Whenever you're ready. Libby, do you want to wake up, babe? Oh my god, girl, are you okay? Chapter 1. Don't put me backwards. Okay, let's try again. What is happening? Oh, okay. Here we go. It has been finished. I have completed the book, and I give it 4 stars. It will be kept on the shelf. This will not be unhauled. So we have 1 win for the episode. I really enjoyed this book. Honestly, I was expecting it to not be as fun as the first one, but I actually liked this more than the first one. And if you like the idea of cozies, but want one that just has maybe like a little bit more depth to it, because I find that cozies can tend to lean towards a bit of a shallower thing where we're just kind of bit-bopping through life and nothing's really going wrong, which, hey, right now, love. But this one had just a little bit more emotional stuff, and I appreciated that. I thought it was nice. I also love the healthy resolution to like disagreements, arguments, conversations, things like that in these kind of books. Like, it's just, everything is in a perfect way that things happen. Like, if it probably isn't very realistic to real life, because like, even though they're talking about going to therapy, needing to go to therapy, what that looks like, all these characters a little bit act like they go to already, and they're very good at communicating, and even when they're not, they own up and stuff. And it's just nice to see that, because I feel like where I'm getting at is in romance novels. There's always like tussling, there's a third act. I don't mind it, because that's the formula you're reading for, but it's, some of it's so silly. And in here, in cozy mysteries like this, it's an understandable upset, and it makes sense, and it's logical, and it's talked about and talked out, and I just appreciate it. So, very good time, very good time. I then, now, moving on, more transition words. I keep finding these little things all around my office, which is like, I guess it's not all around because it's just in random places, but that's still all around, like just on the chair or on the desk or on the bookshelf. And now I'm going to find a bunch of them behind you on the bookshelf. Later me problem. Let's make sure what color is fantasy romance, because that's the next one we're going to. And then on sprints today, I asked my patrons who were reading with me all day if I should do a new release or a backlist, and they love me, so they said new release. So we're looking for mauve, which is interesting that I chose mauve for fantasy romance when I chose maroon for fantasy, like adult fantasy. They look very similar. And in this lighting, I can barely tell a difference. I need my flashlight. Oh my gosh, there's like no difference. Okay. Let's see what this one is. Can you see it? I want you to see it before I see it. What am I gonna think, you guys? What am I gonna say? Am I gonna be upset? Am I gonna be excited? The dagger in the flame! I'm excited. I literally just got this in the mail. I just unboxed this in, I believe it is the first weekly vlog of October, like filming in October, you know what I mean? Not the first one to go up in October, but just filming. And I wanted to read it as soon as I saw it, and now I get to. So, we're gonna go put this one back on the shelf because she is staying, and then we will go grab the next one. And of course, we need a bookmark. So, we gotta pick that out too. This boy is very excited for the next book. Doesn't he look so excited? Doesn't he look so excited? What are we feeling? Kind of want a cute little tassel, but also I feel like this spooky season, this is not really a spooky book, but you know, just in the season, let's do it. Who cares? Who's gonna stop it? No one. So I have downloaded the book onto my Kindle. I am going to get started on it. I would love to read like the first 100 pages, and then we'll talk about the plot and the vibes and whatnot. Oh, that's the back of my head. Okay. I put on a little ambiance. It's a fireplace, but the vibes, the aesthetic is October-y, which is great, but it's nothing to do with this book. This book is touted on the cover as a fantasy romance, so we'll see. Okay, so I am now on chapter 10, 131 pages into this, and I am having an interesting time with it. For some reason, I was really expecting... I don't know what I was expecting. I think part of it is a mood thing. I was in the mood for a more world-heavy book. This is more political heavy, which is fine. But it definitely reads more YA. So on two
two things I have with that. I'm not necessarily in the mood for YA, so I'm taking that into account. But I'm glad that it is, because they need to read like the intended audience wants to read it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how that works. So I do appreciate that there are books written for this age group, because it's definitely like on par with what I would say was more old school YA, and I am enjoying that. I think I need to just switch my expectations, and now that I realize that it's gonna be more of like a fun, silly, goofy time, I'm kind of into it. I mean, I was into the idea of this book anyways, but I think having it be like knowing what it's gonna be like makes it easier. I like the plot so far. So we are following a girl who, her mom, she witnesses... You know what? Actually, 1 second. Let me make sure I'm not going to spoil this book for y'all, because a lot has happened. Okay, yes. So there are 2 guilds in here, the Cloaks and the Daggers, and they utilize a magic called Shade, which is Shade is just the name of this magic that they use. One of them actually ingests the magic, while the other one wears the magic. And they are like, they're thieves and assassins, and they hate each other, okay? That's what that is. So on the night of her mother's murder, our main character, Sarah, runs for her life, and she seeks sanctuary with the Cloaks. This is her heart is set on revenge. She is not giving her heart is set on revenge. She's kind of like bit-bopping along. So I'm not really getting that vibe, but that's okay. It just feels like she's very unserious in this thing. Like, you know, I feel like a lot of YA assassins to be, or the heroine that wants to seek revenge for whatever reason, like she's a little too serious. It's like, okay, chill. You're not going to train and be the top assassin in like 3 weeks. Like, calm down. It's not that. It's weird. Like, she's just kind of like, I'm here to make friends. Like, this is not the Villa Girl. No, you're not. But I guess, like, looking at this, like, reading the second paragraph of this, I'm not going to read it to y'all, but it makes me more interested in what's going to happen. But I've got to say, at 130 pages, I feel like our girl should know what she's working with, and the plot should be going. Like, I feel like this plot is not really started, but again, maybe that's just me, because I'm trying not to judge this based on preconceived assumptions that I really didn't have any reason to assume. I just assumed based on the title, the little bit I knew about it, and the fairy loot like card. So that's my bad. Sorry. It's not you, it's me. But we're going to try and switch it around and continue reading it. I do think it's like... Is it 480 pages? Hello? Yeah, it's 480 pages. I'm on page 130. So, I mean, we still have a lot of ground to cover. I'm not even halfway through. I just kind of thought that, you know, the plot would be plotted. Like, it would not active verb, okay? Not plotting. Like, it would have been plotted. Like, plotted out. We're already in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, laid down, and now we're just, like, walking down the golden aisle to get to the rest of it and, like, what's going on. But that's not the case. Also, it's kind of crazy that it's chapter 10 and 130 pages, because Zooey. I do have the Kindle version of this, and I think I'm going to switch to that because I don't like holding open this edition of it, because it's just hard to hold open, and I want to lay down and read this book. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make that magic happen for myself, and we're going to continue on with it. Cool. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out which book we're going to read, because I am not in a fantasy mood at all, it turns out. And y'all know in every vlog I do, I'm going to live by the mood that I'm in for reading because I like to enjoy what I'm reading. And I guess I'm already reading a historical fiction for another video, and then I'm reading a epic fantasy just for fun. So I really don't need to be reading another fantasy right now, and I think I underestimated how much of a mood I am in for a thriller or mystery. So the two that I have as my options are these two bad boys. So this is a mystery from the same author that wrote the Thursday Murder Club. I loved the first book. I haven't continued on with that series yet, but I really want to read this one because it has a retired investigator who still does some investigation on the side, and then someone who's currently still a detective, and I assume this is like a teaming up situation. I love that dynamic. I love these kind of character types. This one is blurbed by, let me see, Riley Sager, Mary Kubica, and Grady Hendrix. Those are three favorites of mine. I will say Riley Sager and Grady are auto-buy. Mary Kubica, I have not read enough by her to say auto-buy yet, but it's definitely like put me first in line with the library and I'll read it the same day I pick it up kind of vibes. So that is a big deal to me. Do I know a lot of times the authors being who blurb doesn't matter? Sure, whatever. But we're going to live in this delusion that they really read this because I don't know and I don't care. But those three are similar. So to me, what I hear is the publisher thought that these three were similar. So if you liked them, you'll like this. Close enough as a suggestion for me. I don't know much about this. My mom and I both read this author's original book, like the first one. And I loved the buildup, thought it was creepy, thought it was well paced, but then hated the twist. I thought it was so lazy, so boring. Like I just was like, are you even joking me? So we will see how this one goes. I've heard it's nothing like that one, which lends me to think that's a good thing. In fact, I've heard nothing but good things. And the top Goodreads reviewer that I follow for similar taste in pretty much any book that is not fantasy, because she reads some fantasy, but it's not her main thing. It's definitely more of like pretty much everything else. Both these were 5 stars. So that's looking good for us. I think, I mean, what if we read them both? Like just a little new release moment. That might be a cute Seeds of Mirror thing. I think I want to go thriller first and then a little bit more comforting with a Richard Osman, because these books are very British and very jokey humor, and it always reminds me of my grandparents, and so I love to read books by this man. And then this one is short, sweet, fast-paced, something that I need right now because I'm in the mood to read, but I'm in the mood to like devour a book, you know what I mean? And I need something that's going to grip me. So if I finish both of these, maybe we'll continue on the saga of thrillers for this video and see where that goes. But for now, these are the two. Now, what else do you want to tell the people? Anything else? No? Oh? Okay, no, baby, they can't get you dinner. They're in the past. Well, we're in the past actually now. They're in the future. No, they don't have access to your snacks either. They cannot get you more churri? How do you say that? Churru. Are they churros? Oh, she's mad. Okay, well, go to your heating pad. It's on. So let's go here. Page 1. Let us see how far we get. Ginger, what do you think it's looking like? Alright. No one ever said you were the most positive. Good lord. Okay, so we are here to sit down and read the heck out of this book. Honestly, last night I got to page 79, chapter 5 of part 2, and I enjoy how this is broken up into parts because it feels like, it just kind of feels like a movie. Actually, this very much, so the whole plot of this is we are following a man who is retired military, works for the postal service for like whole career. His wife has passed and he has not talked to his daughter in 3 years. We don't know why, but he hasn't. And she randomly calls out of the blue. The very first chapter of this is so interesting. I thought it was such a well done thing. Like the way they did it was so well done. And invites him to her wedding, by the way, getting married. So he's gonna go do that, and basically, let's make sure. Yeah, so there's something suspicious, something up with the fiance as well as the family he has. So the dad's like looking into that, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because I just love Liam Neeson. Maybe it's because I absolutely adore Taken and I just watched it again. But there's something about like a dad main character that just reminds me of those kinds of movies, like that era of movie. And I love it. Like, I feel like it's got that vibe. Does he have a special set of skills that he will use to find you and take you out? I don't know. That would be a cute reveal. Not sure. But I am enjoying it. It is a good time. The writing style is super easy to fly through. I read like the 80 pages just in like, I think maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours last night. So, looking good thus far. But I would love to finish this today because I think that we have just got to the part where they're like in the state that the wedding is going to be held. So I think stuff is going to start going down because they got to the town and this weird thing with the guy that they met at a gas station, basically that kind of like random character that's not so random, just unloaded some more mystery surrounding this little fiance of hers. So excited to see where that goes. I am having a good little time, and it was exactly the read I needed right now. Like, this is just exactly what I wanted. Okay, so I just got to part 3, and I decided to make myself a little protein, fruit-packed smoothie for a little bit of a meal. And I finished my coffee. So we are fully ready to get in to it. I'm gonna drink this while I'm reading. But things are getting weird. This author, I think, is just gonna always be an author that just, some of the lines, I'm like, what does that mean? Like, Riley Sager does this too. Actually, I think there isn't a single author that doesn't do this. But Sarah Janet, Riley Sager, Stephen King, Grady Hendrix, and pretty much every fantasy, any book that's not fantasy. So maybe take Sarah Janet out, because sometimes I'm always just like, what is she doing? What do you mean by that? And it's like that thing of like, you know what, never mind. I'll just let you have it. But I will say I'm having a much better time in this book, because I love rich people drama. And so we're getting rich people drama, mystery, what is going on, weirdness, and it's a good time. It's a very fast read. I'm 155 pages in, so I'm gonna keep on going. Got 200 left. Who knows who's making it to the end? Not us yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and start our little guy once more and do some reading. This isn't Taken, and you're not Liam Neeson. It's like he's in my head. I know it looks like I haven't moved all afternoon, and while that's partially true, it's because I'm reading this. I have been moving back over to my computer to start the sprint session and everything on Patreon, but we're about to finish this. Let me tell you, I think I'm on the last part. Is this the last part? I'm not really sure. I'll tell you what, though. This is a mess. This is a straight up mess. What is going on in the House of Commons? I don't even know. Like, it is just too much. Too much. I will say it is very entertaining, and you know, that's kind of all I can ask for from a thriller, is to be entertained, and I certainly am being entertained, but it is messy. It is so messy. So I have finished it, and this book will not be unhauled. I think it is such a beautiful cover. I want to keep it, and I had a good time with it. This will be one of the books that I would recommend to you for, like, rich people drama. It was definitely entertaining. It was a very quick read. I enjoyed it, and I thought it had, like, a fairly sweet ending. I don't really understand the very last scene and, like, the question that he asks. I won't say what it is. Like, another character in here, but well, it was the character just showed up for that scene. I'm trying not to spoil it. I was like, girl, what? Bye. But it was a good time. It was definitely a good time. I would recommend this one. Much, much, much better than his other book, I will say. Also, I love these things. The marked out. It just is, it's cool looking. It's just so pretty. I kind of wish this gold was only on maybe the bottom. But maybe I'm trying to read down all my thrillers that I own so that I can really only have ones that I would recommend to people directly or lend if they're careful enough with my books. And that way I could face this book out. Because it's really pretty. I really love this cover. But yeah, I gave it 3.75 stars. I thought it was a fun little time. Just in case you don't know my rating, a 2.5 is a middle ground book for me. So a 3 is above average. A 3.75 is definitely above average. 4 is like just a different league. And then 5 is, this is just not a 5. But I do see this author potentially getting into 5-star territory for me at some point. I just think as his writing grows, we will get there. Because I do like the twisty and turniness of these books. I like that it's a twist and it's a turn that happens, and I didn't see it coming, but when I look back, I should have. I think that's great. I kind of guessed one of the twists, but I didn't guess in totality what was really going on, so yeah, it was a good time. And I think I'm still in the mood for a thriller or a mystery, actually. What do we read next? These are the next two we have to choose from. I want to read this one because I just got it and I feel like it's going to be cozy. This one is also a cozy mystery and I got it from the publisher. I've decided, this one was already one we talked about, but I read the thriller instead. And then this one, because I just got it from the publisher, I do remember filling out that I was interested in it. I don't know that I recall filling out, because a lot of the times they'll say, do you want an e-arc or a physical? And usually, like with these kind of books, I'll just say, I don't care, whatever suits your fancy. But I tend to choose e-arc just because they're arcs and I don't know if I'm going to like the book, and I don't like to have arcs because I like the finished copy on my shelves. So this isn't finished copy. That's really nice of them. I'm glad that they felt so inclined to send me one. But this one is a woman died in an apartment. I think the new tenant is going to team up with this ghost and solve a murder. And then this one is the two, like, also solving crimes. One was a detective, one's a current detective. So they've both got the older person who kind of knows what's going on, has done the thing, and the younger person that probably thinks they know more and has, like, energy. Or I think this one's like a little bit of a bitter Betty. This one's got energy. And so I'm excited for both of them. Both of them sound really, really good. And they just sound like Olivia books. So
maybe we'll read both. I don't know. I think I'm going to start with this one because it's got like a spooky little vibe to it for spooky season, and then we'll jump into this one. And I think this will round out our Read It or Unhaul It. We will do a head-to-head competition of these two. And they very well both may win. But we'll see. You'll know first. Let's get into it. Okay, so I am holding the cover, although I am gonna pause on reading this for right now because I have another book to get to. Do I have blueberry on my face? I made blueberry pancakes, and y'all, Mr. Bob Mills knows what he is doing with those protein pancakes, okay? I'm enjoying this so far. This is very fun. I definitely am going to continue on with this one as like my funsies little book that I'm reading on the side. I could definitely see myself really enjoying this series. This is my prediction. Let's do a prediction for the Reader and Unhaul It. I think I'm gonna really enjoy it. It's gonna be a fun time. I could see myself liking the series enough to continue on with it, but maybe I would only have like the first one on my shelf to represent the series, and then I would get the rest from my library. I feel like that's how it's gonna end up. That's how cozy mysteries tend to work for me. I just love them. I love a good paranormal cozy. I think it's the best. So I'm excited to continue and get further into it. Okay, so I am 62 pages into the book, and I am loving how this is unfolding, how we are basically teaming up as a like new tenant and a dead tenant. I think it's really funny. It's like naturally gonna be a funny book, I feel like. And I think the best cozy mysteries are ones that have a lot of humor in them, because they tend to just, I don't know, be just like a silly, goofy time. And I usually just want to live a silly, goofy time. So, what we are doing here is the new person has moved in. She is a young woman who is trying to like get away from something bad that just happened, a bad breakup. And the ghost is a woman that lived in here she's not an older woman. She's actually only in her 40s, so she's quite young. And her passing away was mysterious, and then a tenant across the hall is the murder that we are solving with our Casper and detective duo. And she's not a detective. She does like to watch true crime, though, so I think that's probably going to be playing a part in it. But the writing is just clever. The author is funny and witty as well. And I will say, I don't tend to like when I can feel the author in the room with us. But I do like when you can just tell, like, this person's witty. Like, and also, I have a very, very dry sense of humor. This book has a very, very, very dry sense of humor. So it works perfectly for me. I love dry humor. I think it's hilarious. I think it's witty. I think it's intelligent. So that is very much what I'm getting from this book. And I'm having a good little time with it. If you enjoy the idea of a cozy mystery, but have found them to be too cozy in lieu of like being boring, how I feel about cozy fantasy, of like, when I'm reading fantasy, like I want empires to topple. I want like drama, you know? That's intriguing. I don't want to watch an orc create a cafe. Like, I do, but then I realized apparently I didn't. Because I should have loved that.
And I did not. It was so sad for me. But I do love these. I love these so much with all my heart. And this one is definitely kind of in that realm that Finlay Donovan is, where it is a little darker than a cozy mystery would typically be, and definitely more comedic. Not to say cozy mysteries can't be very comedic, but they don't tend to be. They tend to be a little bit more cheesy, a little bit more hallmarky, stereotypically. There's like this new branch of the genre that I'm finding myself reading more and more that is like Finlay, this, and I'm just enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. It's a good little time. So I'm going to keep reading, but so far, so good for this book. Okay, guys, let us have a little chatty chat about a new lease on death. Because I finished it. We have our next book in the Read It or Unhaul It vlog finished. I want to be so honest with y'all at this point. I don't even know what book we're on. But I'm having the time of my life. I am giving this one a 3.5. For a cozy mystery, for me, that's good. Y'all know how people give out 3s to basically mean like, it wasn't good, it wasn't bad, it was just kind of mid. I live and breathe the American grading system. So I have attempted to turn the 5-star, truly the 10-star is the best way to do it. But we don't get into all that. But I would give this I would give this definitely like a 3.5, which for me, the middle ground of a rating system is a 2.5. That means like, yeah, it was fun, did what it needed to do. I was entertained. I enjoyed it. I'll probably continue on. We have that. Do I think I need to own this? I'm gonna sit with it for a little bit and truly decide, because I'm not sold that I do. I'm not under the delusion that I'm not gonna own a bunch of books in my house. Let's be real. I am. Like, I use books like decor, so of course I am. They're in literally every room. Are they actually? I mean, save for like the bathrooms, because obviously the pages would mold. Yeah, they are in every single room. I think I'm gonna hold on to it. Hold on to it, and I'll tell you why. I really liked that this was not the typical cozy mystery, but it also wasn't the typical I'm trying to not be a cozy mystery. It married the two together so well for me. And what I mean by that is the characters and the setup and the tone was way more like the... sounds so lame, but I would guess maybe people would describe it as an edgier cozy mystery, because in a cozy mystery, things tend to be all okay and everything's sugary sweet, save for the side of homicide, okay? That's not so great, but we're not dead, we're solving it, so we're fine. Also, the ones I read are in the South for some reason, so it just really brings it out in me, because I don't have an accent other than that. Right. So I think that this one was fun because we had this character dynamic of grumpy sunshine, but we're gonna be like paranormal detectives together, and paranormal detectives aren't investigating the paranormal, they are the paranormal. And I love that. And actually our ghost, she's got baggage, okay? And things aren't great. And I really liked the way that things were discussed in here. There was levity to it, but it was not overshadowing to the plot, if that makes sense. Because a lot of the things that were discussed were either just, yes, this. I almost said this is how it are. This is how it are. But everything's not as it seems at Waverly Place, okay? So just know that. I think that the plot, as far as the little diagram, that we would be drawing in class, that was very akin to the average cozy plot. And I loved that. There's something very comforting in the predictable. And I've also realized that's why people love romance. Not me. Not I. I love romance where it's like, oh my god, but like the dragons are gonna kill him. Or I am. Like, that's the good stuff. But I know my best friend reads romance because she loves to know how the plot's gonna unfold. That is a cozy mystery for me. I didn't guess this though. But it was a very mundane answer to everything, which I loved. Because listen, do I read the Misfortune series by Jana De Leon and understand that that is absolutely insane of a book? Yes! Just look at the covers. Literally go Google it right now and you will see. I don't know what to tell you. They're everything to me. This is not like this, so don't fear. But it is also... That series is very unserious and none of the way that things wrap up is like... Ah, yes, this conclusion is logical. This was very logical. All the crumbs were there. It took us a little while to get there. It did get a little bit boring, I'm not gonna lie. But other than that, it was a cute, good little time. So I would recommend. And I think for our next book, I am actually... Yes, we are whipping out the Paperwhite. Because I do have a copy of this book on the Paperwhite. Can I get a drum roll, editor? No, you can't. Because I don't want to go look up a drum roll sound. Sorry about ya. Not that sorry, though, because I'm not going to do anything to fix that situation. Okay, the dagger. Oh, spoiler. So, do you think that they changed the train schedule because I memorized it? I do. Hey, I can't spell. Does anyone else's Kindle lag like absolute craziness? Because good God. Why I oughta. Okay. So we are back in it. I don't know where this is, actually. I am very bamboozled and confused. So I am gonna now go back to Christmas Past. And we're gonna pick up The Dagger and the Flame. Because I'm in the mood for a fantasy romance. We've already started this one. We might as well figure out if it's going to get a place within my library or if we're going to get rid of it. And I don't know. Because if y'all recall from earlier, my main complaint was this was, what are we doing? Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started in Ha. And also, this is very YA. And that's not usually a problem for me. Y'all know that. But I do think that having just finished Oathbringer... I am okay with having a bit of a little less serious time in a fantasy land. So I think we're in the good place for this. But let's test my hypothesis. Okay. Hello, you guys. So I'm sitting down to read this on sprints, and I just have to say, so I have got to part 2. I'm on page 182 now out of 400-ish? 500? More like 500. Okay. Humbling. But I am liking this so much better this go around. To me, I already knew this, but I am such a mood reader that even when I read the book in my life makes a difference, and I have to take it into account or else it's going to affect it. So I'm so glad that I decided to pause this instead of trying to force my way on. Because listen, this series is like, I do want to unhaul books. That is the main goal is to unhaul books so that I have only books that I really have enjoyed and already read, or I'm like about to pick them up within that month. So I want to make sure if I'm going to like a book, like, I give it its full chance, and that is happening now. We are getting finally the plot. So the plot took 135 pages to start. That is frustrating to me. However, I realize it's only frustrating to me because this is a traditionally published book. I thought if this were a KU romance, Kindle romance, I don't want, honestly, the main plot to start before we've already built a bunch of the world and characters up, which tends to take about 130, 150 pages. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, it's really not that much of a problem. It's just a shift in the thing that I'm used to from the traditionally published tropes and things versus the KU one. It's not even the tropes in the book. It's just like of the way of publishing. They do just have a different vibe to them. And it's not a good or bad thing. It's just a thing that is there. And to me, there's no use for me to not see both of those and then like take them in stride and understand how that plays a role in my enjoyment of a book. But now that I've realized that this one is not playing into the typical of traditionally published fantasy romance, and I mainly mean fantasy romance that started out KU or started out trad. Like, I don't mean KU that got published traditionally after it got really popular, because that's a huge trend happening right now. I actually typically prefer KU fantasy romance. There's something to it, just something to it that's better for me. It just suits me better, okay? But I don't really get to read that much in these Read It or Unhaul It blogs because I don't own them physically. I read them on my Kindle. So that's mainly in the weekly blogs. But here, this is kind of like, I could recommend this as if you're someone that's also like me, prefers KU fanro. This has got the elements. This has got the vibe. This has got there's a certain unhinged vibe to it. And that's why I like KU. Because there's no editors and I mean like people to hinge things. I want them unhinged. That's why I go to KU. So I like that no one hinged this as they typically would. And AKA make it less fun, to be honest with you. So I'm having a good little time now. I am very much enjoying myself. I have my little fanro playlist on. We're going to listen to that. We're going to read this. It's just a good time all around. What do you think, Jakey? What do you think we should read, huh? You have a think on it, okay? I can't reread The Diviners and Dan Brown, dude. Unless... I'm done. I just finished reading The Dagger and the Flame, and... keep in mind my rating scores, you know, my system. It's 3. Yeah, it's a lower 3, closer to 2.75, but that still to me is better than just like a book. So, thank you. I think that this is like a fun little YA. I don't know if it's YA. Maybe it's new adult. I think. Whatever. This is just a fun little traditionally published fantasy romance. Actually, now that I've read it, I don't think I would claim this is a fantasy romance. I think that I would say this is a fantasy that features a romance heavily, but I don't think that those are the same things all the time. Mainly because truly, the interactions for our couple were not as much as I would think for a fantasy romance. And they were also quite quickly moving, considering this was a 500-page thing on my Kindle. I definitely think that there seemed to be, like, for the first half, enemies, and then all of a sudden lovers, but it's like they didn't even do anything other than pass notes before they, like, started to not hate each other. I was like, what are we doing here? Not even spending time together. Because it was very short little quips and moments, and it just didn't really work for me. The banter was great. It was just a fun time. But am I going to unhaul it? Yes. Yes, I am. I am going to unhaul this Fairy Loot edition of this book. Because if I want to read this, I'll grab it on my Kindle via the library. I don't really feel the need to own it, and it wasn't one that I'm going to be referencing frequently enough to have it take space on my shelf. I know that kind of sounds harsh, but, like, I don't know. I need to be harsh with my space. I only have so much. So you're gotta be, you know, unhauling these books. So I definitely think that this is a fun little time. It would be a library recommendation for me, and that's where I'll be going for the following books, because it ended in a very typical way. Like, it's not surprising at all. There were really no plot. I mean, okay, there were plot twists, but the build-up was incredibly lackluster to the point that I'm like, we didn't reference this plot twist a single time. Like, not a one time did we reference this, so I don't really understand. Like, I understand the motivation behind the plot twist, like, the actual characters involved in the plot twist, and makes some other characters' motivations for what they were doing make more sense and why they were so passionate about that, but the plot twist itself was just like, I mean, that's very convenient and it works, I guess, but there was no work done to, like, piece that together beforehand, and y'all know I don't like that. If I can't go back and collect the breadcrumbs, I don't like it. And it wasn't written in a good enough way, and I'm sorry. You know when you're doing, like, an epic battle scene and there's, like, that one line or something like that, and it's just like, oh, they say something and it's like, boom, and the battle commences, or, like, the villain gets killed. The word papa shouldn't be involved in that line. That was incredibly unserious. Actually, I really hated the use of mama and papa throughout this whole thing, because it just felt so weird. And I don't know. I didn't like it. To me, it's one of those little things, I've mentioned this before, where it's just, like, I hate the word awesome. Like, when characters are like, awesome! Exclamation mark. Pick another word. I don't know why it bugs me. You don't even need another word for that one. But this one, I don't know, maybe because the way that I've grown up with it was giving Tiny Tim. Is Tiny Tim who I'm thinking of in the Christmas Carol? Is that what I'm thinking of? I don't know. One of those, like, be a better person tales from the English. It's giving that, and I was like, what are we doing? When did Tim get here? Like, that was weird. I didn't like that. So, Catherine, please take note. Mother and father work fine. In fact, there were actually a few instances where things like that are just very modern phrases were put into here, and it was like, my little sister just said that like 3 weeks ago. What are we doing? It just is weird. It's weird. I appreciate fantasy romance authors, if we're doing fantasy romance, if that's what we're aiming for, keeping it fantasy. Urban fantasy's fine. We can bring in some of those culture references there, but, like, current culture references there. But I don't know. I was waiting for one of these characters to be like, it's giving Starlight. Like, so that is just a pet peeve of mine, but it's in there. And I know I'm not alone, because on the last vlog, some of y'all got words that you don't like in books either, so, you know, glad we can commiserate. But that's going to be it for this little Read It or Unhaul It. let's cut to looking at the stats.
Okay, now we will go over the stats. I do think these are all the books that we read. I'm going to be so honest with you. For some reason, I thought there were more. I don't know. So, let's go over what I've got here. So, we started out with Shades of Rust and Ruin, and unfortunately, this was just not working for me. I don't know what it was. I think I have tried other books by this author before, and I did not enjoy them. It's because I didn't enjoy the writing. I've never finished a book by them. So, I think I've only tried their other series, the one that's like Alice in Wonderland, the splintered one, and it just wasn't working for me personally, writing style wise, which that's a huge part of it for me. I have to enjoy actually reading it, not simply the plot, but actually the writing. It's just a big part for me. So this one is definitely going to be an unhaul, pass it along to see if someone else might find their new favorite book. That could be cool. Then we did Homicide and Hollow Hollow, and this is definitely a keep for me. I am really enjoying this cozy mystery series. Y'all know I love my cozy mysteries. To have humor, food, maybe a pet or two, and like a solid friend group, it's just so comforting and cozy and family. And this has literally all of that and then some. I just think it's really, really fun, and I really enjoy this series a lot, so I will be keeping it and moving on to the next. I don't know if I will necessarily set out to buy the next books. I don't know if I need to own all of them, but I'm certainly going to be reading them. Then we had the last one at the wedding, and this was a new release that I purchased. I think it's either the day of or the day after it came out, and I was not disappointed. I enjoyed this one a lot. I thought it was a fun time. It was a very fast read. I believe I read it when I really sat down. I read like 50 pages at night, and then I just blew through it the next day. It was a really good time. I did enjoy my time with it, and for the time being, I will be keeping a hold of it. I love this cover so much. I just think it's beautiful, and I really want to narrow down my thriller shelf. So I like to have books facing out, so I'm going to figure out a way that I can put this one on display with it facing out. I just think it's really pretty. It's almost like a picture to me, like the landscape. I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but makes sense to me. You know, that's a lot of things though. And then the final book we have is The Dagger and the Flame. This is now moved down. I've sat with it for a little bit. This is a 2.5, which for me is probably equivalent to most people's 3-ish stars, where it's just middle of the road. But to me, 2.5 is half of a 5, which is actually middle, but I digress. I think it was a nice little time. I don't regret reading it, but when I really think about it, I don't need this on my shelf. It's not a pretty enough spine for me to keep on my shelf, which, should that factor into it? I don't know. I have quite a lot of shelf space, so I can afford to factor that in, but it's not, and I'm never going to reread it, and I know for a fact that when Fairy Loot is Fairy Loot, right? Yeah. When they come out with the sequel to match this, I have no intention of buying it. I have no intention of buying it from Barnes. I'm not going to get it from Amazon. I'm going to pick it up at my library. I'm probably not even going to put a request in for it. Like, if they get the ebook, if they get the physical, whatever it is, I don't care. I'll read it then. But I'm not going to be looking for this new release. It was a fine book, but really when I think back on it, it was quite hollow. Like, even the banter, there was very good banter scenes, but there wasn't a lot tying that all together with the plot, the world building, everything. The world building wasn't that big of a deal because it just very much felt like a fantasy version of France, maybe. I don't really know, never been. But that's kind of felt like what it was going for, and that was okay. But the plot itself, when I really look back at it, I'm like, now this didn't make much sense, because no one was really that driven. It was really about the romance, but that wasn't, to me, done that well. So I think it was a fun read. I don't regret reading it. I would recommend it via library. I mean, if you want to buy it, go ahead. Go on. But it was fine. It was just a fine little fun time, and that's kind of all I can really give it. And that doesn't really sound like something I want on my shelves. So I will be unhauling this one as well. So we went 2 for 2 in this episode. And honestly, not bad odds at all. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have made it this far, leave me, I guess the closest we'll be able to get, either a dog emoji, because you know Jake is in here. Can y'all see him? That's my, oh my gosh, why is it not letting you? Yeah, there's my cozy mystery companion. That, or the closest emoji is probably going to be an ice cream for this. I don't know if they'll have this food exactly, but an ice cream emoji would work. And let me know if you've read any of these, if you're looking forward to them, if you are going to pick them up or not, or if you already have read them, what you thought of them. I'd be really interested to know about the dagger and the phlegm, because I feel like a lot of people talked about it, and I have now not really seen anything past that, so intrigued. I want to know. But that's it for me, so make sure that you drink your water, stay hydrated, be kind, and go have a good day on purpose, because you deserve it. And I will see y'all in the next one. Goodbye!
Hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. All the good times